Um, what's up, everybody? Uh, so, uh, I posted today on Facebook, Facebook about what did y'all learn so far about yourselves in this year? Just this year, just this year. What have you learned about yourself? Is there some things that you think you didn't know about yourself, or you probably tucked away a long time ago, and just you know rediscovered it down in this year? What did you learn? And do you think you need to grow on that to be a better person for the future? Uh, and and what is some things that you finally figured out? Like, okay, this shit just is not working. It can't work for me. I've tried everything, and it's just not gonna work. And so what have you learned? And what I learned, I'm gonna talk about what I learned so far about myself in 2020. I've learned that um, I thrive in chaos. Um, Not saying like this pandemic is a good thing. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think that's a good thing. But it didn't really phase me to the point that like it could phase somebody else. Like, I'm used to being by myself anyway, so I'm kind of used to that. Like, when I do go out, it's usually to the doctor, or to like go get something to eat, and occasionally I go out. I go somewhere, kick it with my brothers. Me and my mom go somewhere, or I'm like around either of my people. Like, I'm not going anywhere far, or going some place that I don't know. That's just me personally. So I think I learned that in 2020. Like, my, the chaos that might scare plenty of people. Like, I saw how fast people just lost their fucking minds when they had no other alternative. They could not go out. They couldn't sit in. They couldn't run away from their problems. They actually had to deal with them bitches head on. You figure out that, damn, okay, I'm not as strong as I thought I was. Like, I'm not. This situation is worse than I thought it was. Like, or maybe it was kind of like better than I thought I was than it was. I maybe just kept thinking it was not as good as it's supposed to be, and then it just ended up being, and I kept kind of like delaying it and trying to figure out what was it, what was it, what could it be, and I think that's a good thing. So I think 2020 is showing all of us kind of like, if something like this ever happens again, what are you gonna do? And for me, like I said, I'm used to being by myself, so I'm cool with this shit. I am very cool with this shit. I have no problems with sitting down and doing this, or doing a podcast, or whatever the case may be with that. But this is actually, what's crazy is the fucking pandemic has made me more active to do this, because I would probably be just sitting on my ass. I'm a huge, massive procrastinator. Like, if I know I gotta do it, I'm gonna do it. It's just like, I don't feel like doing that shit right now, so it might take me like 2 months to 3 to maybe couple months, because I will never do it. But now that I'm at home, I have nothing to do. I've always had nothing to do, but it's just like now it's like I really have nothing to do. I'm not going nowhere. I can't really move around. I got a car now, but before then I didn't have a car. Like, so I had to kind of like come up with something. And the podcast finally, like, I don't know. I got focused on what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do more. And I think sitting down really for the first time, you know what's crazy? And I told my mama this when this kicked off, when this pandemic kicked off. I said, for the first time, I haven't felt anxiety in a minute. I wasn't like, I had it, but it wasn't like as crazy as it used to be. Like, my anxiety used to take over like an entire day. Like, from the moment I woke up to like the time I went to sleep, I just had anxiety, because I always felt like I was losing. And some people could understand what I'm saying, and some people probably won't when I say this. I felt like I was losing. What I mean by I felt like I was losing, I felt like everybody was doing something, but I was just standing still. I was stagnant. I felt like I wasn't moving. I felt like everybody, even though we all have the same situations, we all in this. I felt like somebody be like, I'm at work, or I'm doing this, or I'm like, I'm at school, or I'm just at home. I'm at home. I'm at home. And I think when this pandemic started, I think I kind of got less anxiety because for the first time in a while, we were all stagnant. We were all standing still. We all had to figure out something to now do. And it was like, oh shit. Now everybody's on my playing field. Now I can fucking figure this out. And it's not a race anymore. It's not a by 30 you gotta get $1 million or some shit. It's like, no, we're all in this situation together now. And I hate the fact that certain people had to deal with this shit way worse than anybody. Like, lost jobs, lost homes, lost their families, like lost their people, like really lost their people through this pandemic and shit. So I don't understand. I'm not saying anything bad. Like, I 100%, my heart goes out to y'all if that happened. But I used to tell my mom all the time, like, I gotta stop watching social media. I used to tell my mom that shit all the time, like, I gotta stop looking at social media, because I got to that point of like, man, these motherfuckers look like they celebrating their lives, and them bitches are younger than me. I can't believe this shit. They are on yachts and boats and planes and going to different countries and renting an entire island. Like, bitch, how the fuck you rent an entire island? Like, how the fuck does that happen? Who the fuck do you talk to rent an entire island? Like, who the fuck do you talk to? Who do you talk to? And I used to tell my mom this shit all the time. Now I look at social media, I'm like, y'all motherfuckers don't really own any of that shit y'all do anyway. It's not really like y'all are doing this shit for stunts. I knew that then, but it's kind of like, even though I knew that, it was kind of still like, man, I wish I could do that shit for a second. I'm not even gonna lie. And like I said, everybody had to stay still for a moment. And that made me feel good for a second. Not good. I don't want to say good. I was trying to find a word in my mind, and that shit just could not come out the right way. We were all standing still, and I think I was finally able to understand what my path was supposed to be. And so the podcast started it. And I started doing it more and more already. I had this app on my phone for like a damn near like a year and a half, just looking at it. And I used to do certain shows and shit, but it was never like where it is now to now. And funny enough, I was sitting down today, and I actually went back and looked at some of the comments, when I first started really posting my podcast. And one comment in particular stuck out to me, and it was my sister. And she was like, okay, now that you've done the podcast, you need to start showing your face so we can see what you're saying. And I was like, yeah, that's true. I should do something like that. And my whole time I was looking for like a clip or something, like something to do this. And it was right on my goddamn phone the entire time. I'm doing this literally on my phone. It was on my phone the whole goddamn time. And it took that moment to kind of be like, yeah, that's true. I do need to kind of like do that. And once I finally started doing it, it kind of just made perfect sense, man. And sometimes you just take a moment, man. And it takes calm, peace, patience. More importantly, silence. You just need silence for a second. You need to clear your mind. You need to know where you're at, where you're going, and what does that mean to you. We all have moments and times where we feel bad, we feel low, we feel down. And I learned that in 2020, that even when it was bad for most, I felt right at home because I'm used to having the silence to think and to understand that it's time to now be the loudest in the room. When back in the day, I could be screaming and nobody would give a fuck because there's so many of us all in this room talking about what we were doing. And now it's like all of us now screaming now, but it's like me, I can understand now, like, this is the time for me to step up and say, yo, do you? That job was just to start you. You know, if you've been working at that job for like 5 years or some shit like that, that was just a little starter. Like, it wasn't supposed to forever be that job. If you started working now, if you work at like a job that gave you 6 figures and some shit, then hell yeah, I'd be mad too. But it was just like a random job or some shit like that. I'm happy that hopefully you started to say, you know what, man, I always wanted to go into business for myself. Might as well start doing it now. And I see a lot of people doing that, man. I'm happy for y'all. I'm really proud of y'all that y'all really started doing that shit and being like, you know what, I don't think we're ever going to go back to normal. And I've been saying that for a while. And I thought that it was going to take something like this to kind of get us to a mindset of what is normal to y'all? Like, what is normal? Normal to me has died years ago. I don't think normal exists. Normal will never come back to you. If you had like I said, a cushy 6-figure job, you were good for a while, then you got fired or some shit because of this pandemic, or you just can't do it anymore. You always had normal. That was your normal. And I can't tell you how to move after you have had something like that. That's a hard ass thing to achieve, and that's a hard ass thing to get back, you know. And I've never had a job like that. I wish I could say I have. I've never had a job like that. But I think that even with the anxiety that I used to have, and like I said, it comes and goes. I still get depressed here and there. I still have those moments and times where I start doubting who I am and what I want to do and what I will be one day and who's going to be here to really enjoy this with me. And I get those moments, and I think I should be allowed to have those moments. It's not as where it used to be where it got really bad, but it's now to the point of more so I can't now go back to that point. So let me figure this out. And I think 2020 has shown me that the silence has created my voice in a room full of not knowing. The unknowing is very afraid. If you don't know what's gonna happen, you get scared fast. Like, I don't know. I used to have so much, now I got to deal with this shit. I gotta figure this out. But for me, I'm like, let's go. I like it. I like this. This is a good feeling. And I'm good with that. I think I'm focusing on what that's going to be. Now, when we go back out, which we're already out, this shit has not stopped anything, to be honest with you. But I think what I've learned also about 2020 to me, what I've gotten better at and figured out how to let go of more so than anything is I can't help everybody. I've always said that to myself, and I'm like, but I really have now like sat down and really been like, can't be everybody's friend. You can't be everybody's, go-to. Can't even try to adjust their mindset, because if they're stuck in that mindset, they're stuck in that mindset. If they think that's how they're supposed to move, that's how they're supposed to move. You can't tell them how to move. And I think that we all have to go through life, and we have to understand what's going to happen. I think that for all the good that we do in our lives, sometimes you're gonna have the bad moments, and sometimes things just don't pan out the way you planned it. And so I think that for me, 2020 has shown me me being who I am at the core of my being is I will be here if you want me to be here. And if you don't, I can't help that. That's your problem. And I'm gonna move. I'm gonna let you figure out what you need to figure out. But I hope everything goes well. But you told me to leave. You told me not to be here. You told me not to give a fuck. And I think that's who I've always been. Like, I'm easy with the cutoff. I love it. Like, no stress off my back when you tell me some shit like, I don't need you here. Okay, great. All right, I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna holla at you. See you on the other side. And I think that's always been me. But now I'm like really physically knowing that 2020 was a good time to understand who you are as a person, because like I said, you went from having everything, some of us went from having everything to now having absolutely nothing. And that's demoralizing. That's scary. As you went from eating steak and lobster to now eating McDonald's again. You're like, what the fuck? I don't know, some of y'all probably have been eating steak and lobster still. I don't fucking know. But what I'm looking forward to in 2021, and I don't do New Year's resolutions. I don't do that shit. I think every New Year's resolution is the same New Year's resolution for me personally. Grow and get better. That's it. I can't look at New Year's and be like, oh man, I'm gonna do something new. My New Year's resolution in 2021 is gonna be, try to, no, I'm good. Grow and get better. It's always my New Year's resolutions to the day I die. Grow and get better. As long as I'm alive, I'm physically able to do everything I want to do. I'm able to come on here and do this. Grow and get better, man. Do my podcast. Hopefully get some subscribers to that YouTube channels. Hopefully get some people. Hopefully get a bigger platform that I could do more and more stuff. Reach out to more and more people. My man said now is just to help more and more people. I don't want to do this forever. I want. I've always thought about what I wanted to be in life, and I never thought about being like a therapist or something. And it just recently dawned on me, like, that the more I talk and the more I start posting shit and the more I do things, I'm starting to realize, like, I'm starting to get into a motivational speaker. And I don't even look at myself as that. It's just the fucking fact that it is what it is sometimes. Because I think I say shit sometimes and people just look at it and be like, that was pretty intelligent. I understand that. And I think 2020 has shown me that my path is different. It continues to grow. It continues to show me things that maybe back in, 2017, 2016, 2018, I probably would have never done this. Never let y'all see my face. Never, figured out a way to create this, to create this type of mindset, to create this type of energy. And I'm enjoying it. Because clearly I keep doing these videos. I don't. So, one day, hopefully this becomes bigger, where I don't look at it for the money. I mean, money be cool, but it's not the end all be all. I want to help people. Not help them. I think that at the end of the day, you take my words and you can take how you want to take it. That could either help you or it could make you feel some type of way. I can't help you with that. But what I mean by help people is, I want you to know that it may be somebody that think like you, or it might be somebody that can outthink your mindset at that time and say, okay, this is what we should do. That sounded great, but this is what you should do. And I think, the other voice in your head, I think we all have it. I think you move one way, but then it's like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. And you get into a conflict with yourself. I think you come and sit down and talk to me, or let me come and do these videos, and I will help you with that. I think that nobody's always in control of what they're going to do until it's time to do it. I think that we all know what we're supposed to do, but when it comes down to it, if it's you or me, I'm going to do what the fuck I got to do to survive and protect me at the end of the day. And I think that I'm learning that more and more about 2020. For me, and going into 2021, I think that I just, like I said, I want to just create this platform, continue the platform, continue what I'm doing, uh, push it forward, um, and give myself more reasons to be happy. And this makes me happy, man. I can't even understand it. Like this does make me happy, and it makes me happy, and this makes me happy, man. Uh, I I just realized that um, I found something that finally made me happy. Um, yeah, yeah, man. It makes me happy. This makes me happy. Thank y'all, man. If you like it, man, go subscribe. And I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Hopefully, I don't cry on this shit. Uh, talk to y'all later, man.